Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you are. My name is John, or Last Frontier Bricks, and this is my review of the LEGO Star Wars 2020 Death Star Final Duel. It is set number 75291, comes with 775 pieces, plus 5 minifigures, and was released on August 24th, 2020 at a retail price of $100. And surprisingly, taking a look at Bricklink just 2 minutes ago, if you want to get this set brand new sealed, you can still get it for about $110, not counting shipping. Actually, quite surprised about that, considering not only was this set quite popular when it came out, but also the fact that it is almost exactly 5 years old now. I figured this would be as good time as any to take a look at this oldie but goodie set, considering, while not confirmed, we're practically guaranteed to get a smaller version of this in that huge $1,000 UCS Death Star we're supposed to be getting at the end of the year. And it's actually nice to get a playset Star Wars set, considering Star Wars is mainly focused on vehicles, so starships and stuff like that. So it's nice to get a playset to Star Wars set, especially one of the most iconic scenes in the original trilogy. We're going to take start as I usually do with the minifigures, starting off with Emperor Palpatine. Nice printing on the face with those yellow eyes and all the scars. And then he does have a accurate angry face going on. He does use the, at the time, relatively new hood piece. And he does have the soft cape, which, as I've mentioned multiple times, I wish I had a blanket made of this material. It's super soft. Plus, you do have some pretty good printing on the torso and legs. Don't really know what that is, but I do like that it's in the metallic printing. Not anything going on the back of the torso or the arms, but he does have a couple of accessories, one of which is his lightsaber with the gold hilt and red blade from Revenge of the Sith. I know he doesn't use it in Return of the Jedi, but I'm glad they decided to throw that in anyway. But they do give him his accurate weapons instead for the movie, those being in a couple of pieces to represent Force Lightning, which I do like the transitioning colors, like part of it being light blue and the other part being purple. I actually really like that. So all in all, pretty solid figure. Next up, we'll go with our big hero, Luke Skywalker. I do believe this was a relatively new hairpiece for him at the time. Good printing on the face, although I will say the hair doesn't quite go all the way down, as you can kind of see the mouth for the secondary, more serious face. Not a whole lot of printing going on with him either. A bit more than on the back than Palpatine did, with some lines going on. Plus, you can kind of see a little bit of a pouch on his belt. Also, no arm or leg printing going on with him, but some good printing on the torso with, again, a little bit more metallic gray on the belt buckle. He does have the black glove over his hand, and he, of course, has his lightsaber with a green blade. But, of course, he didn't show up at the scene from the lightsaber ready. He showed up as a prisoner, so they also included a pair of cuffs that you can slap on him. So all in all, I do believe it was a relatively new Luke, and it was actually a pretty good one, not gonna lie. Next up is probably what was one of the big draws for the set at the time. We have a new Darth Vader, well, relatively new. Well, the helmet mode we've been seeing since the original version of the set, which came out, I believe it was either 2010 or 2015. It's also, you got the removable helmet where you can still have the lower mouthpiece. It's good printing on the face, of course, that pale white skin. I mean, come on, he'd been wearing that helmet for over 20 years. Of course, his skin's gonna be of course his skin's gonna be pale. And then, of course, he's got a bunch of scarring on his face, he's over by his eyes, plus some scarring on the back, which, strangely enough, one of them is still red, which makes me wonder, like, is that relatively new? But, of course, the main draw with this Vader that was new is this was the first time we ever got Vader with arm printing, which is kind of surprising that, there was a time where a Vader without arm printing was the norm. Now it's everywhere. But yeah, that arm printing looks really good with the metallic gray shoulder pads, which of course goes across the top of his chest. is all the mechanical life support system stuff going in across his torso, plus some printed robes on the legs, and of course he also comes with his lightsaber with the red blade. And finally, we have two identical Imperial Royal Guards. I really like the mold they have for the hood piece. So underneath, you got a plain black head. And they also have these soft capes. So with the two, all three of the capes have the two holes. This was a couple years before we'd get capes with only one hole. But again, it's made of that really soft fabric. Back printing for our royal guards. Although I do think it's interesting that the cape has two shades of red. You got a light red on top and a dark red on the bottom. And you actually have that matching dark red for the arms and hands as well. And you also get some good little bit of printing on the front of the torso as well. No leg printing. And then they're both armed with, I believe they are known as force pikes, which I was actually still kind of surprised that we had no idea what these things actually did until we saw them used against Ezra in the Star Wars Rebels finale. Well, all in all, not too many figures, but when it comes right down to it, and the scene that this set is depicting, there's nobody else here except for these 5 characters. So while it's a small minifigure lineup, it's also rather a perfect minifigure lineup. You don't need anyone else. There's no one here missing. So yeah, that's a really solid figure lineup. Taking a look at the main build, you'll notice that with the main build, it's actually a bit different to the instruction manual, which I honestly forgot to take a look at. We see the set in its full glory with that nice border with the Darth Vader minifigure with the black and white. Taking a look inside the instruction manual, we just jump straight into the build. What we have in the back, we have 2 pages is for our parts list, but before that, we have not only a ad for Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, but it also included a cheat code for Skywalker Saga where you could get the Emperor Palpatine in the character. Plus, you have a lineup of figures from quite a few sets, along with the sets themselves. Of course, you got this set, but you've also got the ITS transport from Galaxy's Edge. You got the General Grievous Starfighter and Razor Crest, as well as the 501st Clone Troopers, the Clone Wars Season 7 AAT. You've got the Anakin's Jedi Interceptor, the AT-AT Walker, and the Knights of Ren Transport. And then on the other page, you got even more sets with the Obi-Wan's Hut, the Poe Dameron's X-Wing, and TIE Dagger from Rise of Skywalker. You got the latest Luke's Landspeeder. You've got the T-16 Skyhopper and Bantha Microfighter dual pack. You've got the Duel on Mustafar. You got the 4+ Snowspeeder, as well as the Mandalorian Battle Pack, the Sith Trooper Battle Pack, and the Kylo Ren Shadow and Resistance Y-Wing Microfighters. So all in all, really stacked set lineup, not gonna lie. So yeah, another thing you may notice is that I actually have this in a bit of a different configuration and that you see on the front of the box, because Lego actually kind of made this a little bit, make it a bit more compact, a little more transportable. Well, and that's done via these little clips over here, where you can clip onto the side. Those just swing out like so. And then the doorway section here can slide out like that. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this set from front to back. First off, I do believe that the doorway entry here, much like Palpatine's lightsaber, I do believe this is more based off of Revenge of the Sith, especially with the coloring with the gray and the Republic red going on. I do like the interesting use of the Lego minifigure ice skates over here on the sides. And then you got a couple of artifacts over here where you got like one of the Lego micro figures over here in sand green and as a bit of a statue, and then some gold artifact over here, which I won't be too surprised if are supposed to be Sith artifacts. And you may have noticed that these doors are movable. They are on a small rails, so you can open them and close them. So nothing too crazy going on there on the front. But taking a look go on the other side, you can see there's a couple of large stickers here on the panels. Plus, plus, like I said, the whole thing can be moved forward and backward for transport. Moving on from there, there's actually a bit of a play function right here on the stairs, which I believe is meant to represent the shot where you see Luke kick Vader down the stairs. And that is actually relatively simple. Basically, you can have, like, we'll put Vader over here, and I believe this is one of the ones. And then there's a little technical mechanism underneath the stairs right here. Basically, what you do is push down, and there we go. There we go. Probably work better if I haven't touched this set in 5 years. But you can make 2 of the stairs explode and knock your figures down. Let's see if I can get that to work a little bit better once I get these stairs put back in place. There we go. That was a bit better. But yeah, you can see that those particular stairs are only held on by 2 studs each. So that makes it relatively easy to move the stairs. Moving up, you can move on to the Emperor's throne, which is actually much like this. This is probably due to the fact that, again, I haven't really touched this thing in about 5 years, but it is on a stand where you can spin the throne around. It's a relatively simple throne. Let me see if I can get it off there. There we go. So yeah, it's relatively simple build, but it looks really good. You got a couple of control panels here with stickers. Plus, you do have a couple clips here where, as you can see, you actually have a extra gold hilt for Palpatine. Unfortunately, the set only came with 2 red blades, one for Vader, one for Palpatine. But honestly, where they actually suggest you have Palpatine's lightsaber is with these clips on the back. And one thing I like about the design of this throne is that you can see there's actually got a little bit of space between where Palpatine would be and the back of the throne. That's so you can have Palpatine in a cape and all sit down there, and there's space back there for the cape so it doesn't get messed up. So yeah, I really like that. And again, it's on a little turntable that can spin in a full 360 degrees. There we go. Also, you may notice that that to the side of Palpatine, and you got a couple of control panels over there by the large windows, as well as a couple of screens, probably depicting what's going on with the Death Star. But one cool thing about this section is that this is actually only held on by a couple of studs, so you can lift this entire top panel off and swing that around, and there's plenty of space back there where you can have like Luke and Vader fight, but also a couple of interesting additions. You notice this little attachment here. That's for if you actually don't want Palpatine to wear his cape while in the seat. You actually have somewhere to place them, but you also have a couple of clips here to hang your Force lightning pieces when Palpatine's not using them, which is actually a really nice little addition. And like, Lego didn't have to do that, but I'm not going to complain that they did. Plus, now I got to swing around. You can have a look at the nice window panels for all 3 sections. It's the same printing, but it all looks really, really nice. Not gonna lie. And so let's go ahead and get that back on there. Moving on, we have this little section over here with a couple of play features. First off, you got one over here, which I'll be honest, doesn't really work all that well. Basically, what you're supposed to do is put Luke here, and then you can just push that up here. And actually, I almost got it that time. The idea is you're supposed to flip Luke up onto the railing over there. But it does take a few times for it to actually, get him up there. Well, he's kind of up there. I mean, he's barely holding on via his arm, but he's up there. But if you, but it's also a way to recreate the scene where Razor decides to be awesome and throw his lightsaber. And you probably saw this a couple times already because it's kind of been moving as I've been moving the thing around. So that you can knock this pillar down, and that'll drop both the platform and Luke off with it. So yeah, nice little recreation of that scene. Speaking of scene recreations, you can of course recreate the scene where Vader takes Palpatine and drops him down the hole, which is I always thought is rather ironic. It's one of the few times where we see railings in a Star Wars set, and it's also the one time we actually see someone fall down. Also, you see that there's some large stickers on the side of that tube, so you can just easily drop Palpatine down. And that's actually where there's a little bit of an upgrade in this version of the set than there was in 2015. And that is, how in the world are you supposed to get Palpatine out? That's actually a relatively small hole. And personally, I think I've got some small hands, but even I have trouble reaching down there. So with the original set, basically the only way you could get him out is take the whole set and flip it over. But they go this side and made a little addition to that. You can jump, because with this set, basically all you have to do is lift the set up, and as you can see, Palpatine's come out because the hole to drop Palpatine in is empty. There's no bottom. So you can just lift the set up and easily get him out. Also, you may have noticed that there's a couple of stickers inside the tube as well. So that's basically all the play features of this set. And I gotta say, for $100, this is a really cool play set. And like I said, it recreates the Death Star Final Duel relatively accurately to what you see in the set, with quite a few key moments and locations in the set. Again, a small minifigure lineup, but you're not missing anybody. No one really needs to be added. And there's a good couple of upgrades to the either 2010 or 2015 version of this set. So all in all, for $100, this is actually a really good set. And again, I was actually quite surprised that you can still basically get this scene brand new, sealed at the original retail price. So if you guys are missing this set, well, what are you waiting for? I really like it. I can't recommend this set enough, especially considering you can still get it at the regular retail price. So that'll be the end of this review. Thank you for joining me for it. If you guys enjoyed it, you know what to do. Hit like, subscribe, all that stuff. Ring the bell to be notified of all videos as soon as they become available. Check out my channel and some more of my content, including all of my LEGO Star Wars set reviews on the end screen in just a few seconds. And I will see you all in the next video. Later, everybody.